What is up? My name is Lloyd, and this is the middle card, which are everything on my takes of the world of professional wrestling, and everything from matches to storylines to the wrestlers themselves. So let's go. So I honestly feel that AEW overplayed its hand when it came to this match. Basically, it reminded me of Bret Hart versus Diesel, but it was nowhere near as competitive like a Bret Hart match. And basically, Wardlow squashed CM Punk, hitting him with 7, 8 power bombs. Now, this actually kills the momentum for me wanting to see MJF and CM Punk. If anything, it makes me want to see Wardlow versus MJF as that storyline continues to progress as well. There's a couple things that I would have preferred. I would have preferred the kind of match where CM Punk exposes Wardlow and knows that he can't out muscle him. So basically, he outsmarts him to the point where MJF sees what's happening, is continually getting frustrated, and then costs CM Punk the match by like slapping Wardlow. Then that's how you issue CM Punk his first loss in AEW, and now these two only have the only option to go through each other because they're going to keep interfering in each other's matches basically until this gets resolved, and then they can move on from each other. Another way that might have worked is if you saw after all of those power bombs and maybe after the roll up, you find CM Punk actually laughing more or less. He's laughing like it was part of his plan to take a dive versus Wardlow, like he took a knee. You know how boxers sometimes been accused of throwing fights in order for a payday or something along those lines? Well, what would happen if CM Punk took a dive? He took all the power bombs, maybe still got the roll up, but by the end of it, he was there laughing uncontrollably because he took a dive in order to cause a bigger rift between Wardlow and MJF, because he can see that Wardlow is not the guy that he's paid to be for MJF. Now, that one's a bit of a stretch, but I think I would have preferred that to what it is that we got. So where do we go from here? Well, storyline-wise, I'm thinking what they could do is MJF once called out Punk and said he's barely getting by all of these young guys that he shouldn't have had any issues with. Well, what if, because Punk said once upon a time that he was here to help the young guys, what if what Punk was doing is he was only doing enough in order to beat those guys and was never really giving a full 100% CM Punk type performance, and he saves that up only for MJF because he dislikes him so much that the guy that MJF is scouting is not who ends up in the ring versus him, and CM Punk pretty much beats his ass the way that he keeps saying that he's going to. So I would have liked something along those lines. The other thing that you could do right now is CM Punk realizes that he completely lost and got squashed to Wardlow, and in order to get to MJF, he's got to go through Wardlow again, and this time he does what I would have preferred, and that was to, outsmart him in order to further along this storyline and get my interest back into wanting to see MJF versus CM Punk, because right now they kind of killed that momentum, but it's AEW. They normally have a plan in mind. So I guess what we have to do is trust the process, because they don't really let us down when it comes to that type of thing. So I'll be interested to see where this goes from here. And that's the middle card.